gosh, guys. Okay, let's talk about WandaVision. I've never worked on a video for so long in my life. I feel like there must have been a more time-efficient way for me to make this video. So many hours. I ragged on WandaVision a lot, but guys, I really did love this show. I just wish it had been done a little bit differently. And honestly, after the finale, if this show did one thing right, and probably one thing better than a lot of shows, it was the emotional beats. I think that the Marvel parts, the superhero-y parts, were like kind of the worst parts of the show. I did say in a previous video that I did think the first 3 episodes should have been cut, and it's one of my favorite writing pieces of advice is cut your first 3 chapters, and I definitely explained that poorly. Cut your first 3 chapters doesn't mean cut them and then never integrate them back into the story. It means move them. You know, maybe shorten them, give us the information that we need when we need it. And with WandaVision, it was just a quick rearrange. So, this video was more for me, I guess, than it was for anybody else because I wanted to be able to watch the version of the show that I wanted. So, I'm going to explain that to you guys now. This is kind of like my what if WandaVision. Episode 1. Missing person. We open with Monica. I actually love the chaos of this scene. I love her trying to learn what happened. And this scene, her losing her mom, is basically the reason she's able to relate to Wanda for the rest of the show. The next beats are the same. Monica goes to Sword and is put on a missing persons case. She drives out to Westview and meets the magic-loving Jimmy Woo. I love Jimmy. He's so funny. I wish he was in more stuff. Jimmy tells her he was sent on a missing persons case and the reason he hasn't gone in is because the town does not want him to. Side note, who are these officers? Why do we never see them again? Why can't they see the town? Can they just like not see it right now? Can they not see it ever? Did it not exist before? Like, did Wanda make these officers? Why can everybody else in the world see the town? Sorry. Monica sends in a drone, which disappears. Then when Monica tries to get a closer look, she also disappears. 24 hours later, we meet Darcy, and this is where we get our first kind of big change. Here, I would add into the clown car, as Darcy calls it, a guy who specializes in magic and mysticism, and we'll call him Magic Guy. We see Darcy do her thing, notice the broadcast, a Sword agent gets sent into the anomaly through the sewer. Jimmy brings up concerns for this agent to Hayward, who ignores him. And we get our first look inside the anomaly. We, the audience, are learning what's happening inside the anomaly along with the characters. We don't know who's doing it, we don't know why. I mean, we know who because we know Wanda. We know Wanda is the Scarlet Witch because we Googled it. Don't lie. Very few of us read the comics. You Googled it. Like me, it's okay. And then it's Monica! Darcy and Jimmy try to reach out to Wanda.
Wanda, can you read me? Over.
Here we see Wanda's confusion.
Can you hear me? Here to help.
Pop quiz, Wanda.
And we are also confused. We check in on the nameless, faceless agent as he moves into the anomaly, is changed for reasons unknown, and is also promptly lost. Here, Magic Guy can be like, I think I maybe know, and Hayward's like, fuck off. We see TVs through the years, picking up different episodes, and then...
I think you should leave.
Oh, Wanda, don't be like that.
Wow, this is different.
What happened? Where'd she go?
Same question, Jimmy. Same. Darcy and Jimmy rewatch and try and find Monica to no avail. And then Jimmy asks,
But where's Rambo?
dun 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 dun. And this is where we end episode 1, leaving this known Marvel-ish world and moving into this 50s TV show. One of my biggest disappointments, which is such a silly thing to be disappointed on. This is the only logo change we got of all 9 episodes. I thought this was so cool. So nice. I'm gonna use it twice. Episode 2, filmed before a live studio audience. We start with this logo change that brings us into the 50s. This episode would play out pretty much exactly the same way. The confusion about the heart. We meet the nosy neighbor Agnes. We see Vision at work. We meet Norm. We get this toaster commercial. I mean, like... who is watching the ad? Is Wanda creating the ads because ads are an essential piece of television? Like, is the ad for Sword? Is the ad for her? Is the ad just like a byproduct? Are the 2 actors in the ads and the kids later on from Westview? I mean, I think they're really cool, but I just... We get the dinner party and Vision singing, which upon second viewing, in this order, I loved the pacing of the sitcom, and I think that was because I wasn't waiting for anything. Like, this was what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the sitcoms as opposed to the other way around, and I enjoyed this so much more when I viewed it in this order. We get the weird dinner comment about children, Mr. Hart's choking, perhaps like Wanda choking on the idea of whether or not her and Vision can even have children. And then we get this very creepy stop it loop. Wanda is clearly confused and says,
Vision, help him.
so he does, and everything's okay. Vision asks Wanda to make rings, and then here asks about children. Maybe we can have this, I don't know, dear, never mind, let's just go up to bed. And then they go up to bed, lie down, Wanda closes her eyes, and then there's a bang on the window and be in Bewitched. I would combine these two episodes, shorten the dinner party and slightly shorten the magic show. This episode as well would play out basically the same. Even on the rewatch when I was loving the sitcoms, I did still feel like the magic show was a little bit long. We get the magic show prep, Vision goes off to the neighborhood watch, and Wanda hears something. She goes outside to investigate and sees the toy chopper. This will be the first time we're seeing the sword drone again, because I would have cut this scene because we know what the sword logo is, we recognize this, and this scene kind of becomes an, oh my god, it's the drone. We get a little Senor Scratchy buildup for no reason. Agnes gives some words of wisdom to Wanda before going to the committee meeting, and when we get there, oh man, it's Monica. Wait, why does she think her name is Geraldine? We see Vision at the neighborhood watch meeting, and the only thing that I would change from this scene is that somebody needed to say, don't go past Ellis Avenue, or some reference to Ellis Avenue, and going beyond that is like the bad part of town or something. Vision swallows the gum and wackiness ensues. Back at the pool party, we see the other side of the broadcast where Jimmy tried to reach Wanda.
Who is that?
The goal of this scene now is to enforce the idea that Wanda is as trapped, if not more so, than everybody else. And then we watch the ad. We get the talent show, a little more Monica, drunk Vision, which I am actually enjoying this time because, again, I'm not waiting for anything. Another meaningless Senior Scratchy bit. Agnes is hilarious. And then this thing makes me laugh every single time.
Is that how mirrors work?
Shut up, Beth.
Shut up, Beth. We get the weird for the children thing, and Wanda is pregnant. Yet again, something is happening outside, and we go to investigate. And lo and behold, it's the nameless, faceless agent. Now in this scene, I would cut Wanda saying no and just rewind. This way, we have no idea what level of control Wanda has. And we have the color change. So from 50s to 60s, we didn't see it, now we do. We see Wanda and Vision's shock and awe and acceptance of what's happening around them. I think part of my dislike of these first two episodes when I first watched them, again, as I said before, is that I was waiting for something to happen as opposed to this being the something that I was waiting for. So I was way more invested watching it in this order. I also think that reversing the order of the clues, I guess, the Easter eggs, kept me more engaged. And it was giving me answers in the sitcom as opposed to giving me answers in the Sword episode 4. So we're left still with a lot of questions and really not knowing how much control or conscious influence Wanda has. And then we move into episode 3, now in color. And it's the same. Wanda is pregnant, the weird hedge trimming thing. Wow, she's really pregnant and weird things are happening around her. I enjoyed this bit of Wanda and her contractions much more the second time around in this order. Vision starts to notice things are weird and says,
I think something's wrong here, Wanda. We are in uncharted waters.
Here we learn that both Wanda and Vision are concerned about something, that there's a cut similar to the beekeeper scene. If we cut out Wanda's no of the beekeeper scene, this is exactly the same situation and we have zero idea of Wanda's conscious influence. Wanda goes into labor and Monadine does not know what's happening, but she is on board to help and Wanda legit needs her.
I can't do this.
Yes, you can.
I can't.
You can do this. You can do this.
And she does. Twice. Vision has his we can't leave convo with the doctor, back inside with Monadine and Wanda.
I'm a twin. His name was Pietro.
Here there would be a brief conversation about the song Wanda is singing. She might tell Monadine that her mother used to sing it to them and allude to one time where her brother did to keep her calm. That would be what woke Monica up. Wanda thinking about the real world. And Monica would say,
He was killed by Ultron.
What did you say?
outside, Vision would learn that Monadine doesn't belong, and his suspicions of the town would grow. Wanda notices the logo from the necklace, the beekeeper, and the toy helicopter.
Who are you?
Came here because we're all...
Stop it! But when he gets inside to ask what's up with Monadine, Wanda says,
She had to rush home.
and the episode ends with the two of them on the couch with the twins. I think this way we still don't know how much influence Wanda has, and that really, for me, would have upped the ante on the show a little bit. Episode 4, on a very special episode. For the most part, we follow the sitcom beats. Wanda and Vision can't get the boys to sleep, her magic doesn't work on them, Agnes comes over to help, and
You want me to hold the babies?
I'm sorry?
we get a subtler version of what we saw. The moment is laughed off, Agnes does her Agnes thing, and the twins age up. I have no idea why this opening was my favorite, because I never watched any of the shows that this episode was based on, but this opening, amazing. Which was your favorite? Comment below to let me know. We see the boys being adorable with their new dog, and Vision seemingly putting some pieces together.
It's a precaution, really. I had a hunch someone might pop over.
And lo and behold, he's right. And Wanda is hella unconcerned. The boys age themselves up, and Vision goes to work. I really enjoyed this scene. This scene was funny, and then it got super creepy. I don't know why, but I love this line.
Letter opener.
We don't need that. We're already cutting edge.
It's so stupid. But I love it so much. And I also just feel like, since A Knight's Tale, Paul Bettany can say literally anything, and I'm like, that is the greatest line of all time.
God, I'm good!
Here we get the email from Sword.
Regarding Maximus.
Vision wakes up Norm and tries to understand what's going on. Simultaneously to this, the boys are worried about where Vision is. They notice that it is not a weekday as Wanda says it is, showing that they are only so taken in by the surroundings, very similar to Vision. And then...
Hey, Sparky, what's up, boy? Something's scaring him.
Stay here.
And cut to the commercial. The boys are looking for their dog. We have the encounter with Agnes, where the boys think Wanda can bring Sparky back to life. I think in general this should have been explored more, what Wanda's limits on creation are. Wanda gives the boys the grief talk that Cliff was too busy to give to her. The Avengers are bad friends. If the next time we see him, the first thing out of his mouth is not a reason why he wasn't helping Wanda, I'm done with him. Done. Vision confronts Wanda, and this is the first real time we get confirmation that Wanda may be in some kind of control. And then we get this really cool scene. Wanda quickly negates our idea that she is in full control by saying that it is too much for one person to do. And the important part here is we believe her. Like, the goal of this scene would be that we really, really believe her. And then guess who shows up? Hey, 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 Pietro. If you haven't seen the Alex Myers video about WandaVision, I did do a reaction to it and talked about my thoughts on the show a little bit, but I highly encourage you to go watch his video. The link is in the description. In that, he said that we should have only seen the outside world when Vision saw the outside world, and I kind of agree. I think the show would have been better if once we were in the sitcom world, we never left. And that brings us to episode 5, an all-new Halloween spooktacular. The first time around, this is where I really understood the nostalgia factor of the previous episodes because I actually watched Malcolm in the Middle. I will definitely eat my words on that one. In this episode, we hit the same sitcom beats. Obviously love the costume tie-in. We see how Vision is now more aware. But with Wanda's reactions to things like Herb's question,
do you want something changed?
We are still unsure how in control she is or how aware of this she is. Vision goes walking around and we see some truly horrifying things. Not unlike the Stop It loop. And then the yogurt ad. Okay, with the ads, like, this one was very yo play, but I wish they were just like a little easier to figure out. This is the one that gave me the most trouble. Like all of the other ads, I was like, and this one, I was like, don't get it. Another thing that I would change in this show is that Wanda did bring Pietro in. I think that discussion of what she can and cannot create could have lent itself to why Pietro has a different face. And then we get this conversation between the two of them.
I'm just trying to do my part. That's what you wanted, isn't it?
What happened to your accent?
What happened to yours?
The boys get half powered up and Wanda says,
Please, just remember,
Don't go past Ellis Avenue.
This becomes more impactful because it's not the first time we are hearing it. Vision sees the edge of the anomaly, flies up, notices the car, goes down, and has his exchange with Agnes. And I would change this line.
No one leaves. Wanda won't even let us think about it.
To we aren't even allowed to think about it. Vision puts her back under and heads towards Ellis Avenue. Setup, reminder, payoff. The conversation that Wanda and Pietro would have, I would change a little bit. Him seeing that she's doing all of this, but us still being unsure, I would totally keep. I would change that Wanda also herself is not completely buying into it. She doesn't ask him if it's unethical what she's doing, but he does enforce the idea that what she's doing is good. She's giving the townspeople a better version of their life. I would also have Pietro say something along the lines of, after all the sitcoms we watched growing up,
I think Mom and Dad would have loved it.
my goal in telling the story this way at this point, and especially after that conversation, would be that us and Wanda have no idea what her real level of control is. Vision approaches the end of the anomaly. Billy senses something is up, and the boys go tell their mom that Dad's in trouble. We don't know who Vision is talking to here, but we can assume. And then Wanda asks Billy,
Where is he?
Pietro mouths off, and she asks Billy to focus, and he sees his dad and people who he thinks wants to kill him. And then, oh shit! Here's where we get that big moment. Here's where we see that Wanda is fully in control. The boundary expands to include Vision. We zoom in on Wanda and we transition back to the 70s. We see what really happened with Monadine, that Wanda was aware that she was in full control the entire time. Like Monica being thrown out of Wanda's world, we too are thrown out of the world where we see Wanda as a good guy.
It's Wanda. It's all Wanda.
Episode 6, we interrupt this program.
What's the first thing you do remember?
Pain. And then Wanda's voice in my head.
Did you try to resist?
There was this feeling keeping me down. Hopeless feeling. Like drowning. It was grief.
And we are back with Sword. Monica meets Darcy, who is low-key fangirling, and we are off to a briefing.
Our initial theory had Wanda Maximoff as one of many victims. We now know she is the principal victimizer.
If the show only did one thing wrong, I would say that it was not letting us think that Wanda was a good guy for long enough, and then not making her enough of a villain. In this briefing, Jimmy mentions the Mind Stone experiments, and the magic guy from the clown car says that Wanda and Pietro were likely pre-powered, as they were the only survivors of said experiment. We have Monica defending Wanda. We see Wanda steal Vision's body, and somebody asking, how did she do it without the Mind Stone? Magic Guy would talk briefly about creating life, and this book he's heard about somewhere. And Jimmy would say to Darcy, I like magic. I know about magic books. We watch Monica plan to go back into the Hex, and Magic Man is there for this scene. Jimmy might say she makes people hallucinate, and Magic Guy would be like, well, if my research and theory are correct, the Mind Stone, with her latent mutant abilities, might have acted as a booster to her powers, and the Magic Guy can give the line about how Wanda is actually rewriting reality. Then Monica says,
What happens if we send something in that requires no change?
Monica flies a drone into Westview, and until now, Hayward has been an asshole, but not a villain. Here, when Hayward says take the shot, Monica would object and say, the kids are real, you could kill the kids. And he would brush her off and say something like they shouldn't exist anyways. We know that something is happening around the Hex, everybody rushes out, and Wanda returns the drone. Hayward says the missile was just a precaution, and Wanda says, you could have killed my children. Monica tries to reason with her to no avail. Wanda does her thing and leaves. The drone is brought in, and Monica tells Hayward Wanda contained her space, and she didn't have to. And here I would add Magic Guy saying, well, if my theory is correct, without a full connection to this other boogie-woogie magic power she potentially has, if the Hex were any bigger, she might start losing control. Monica and Hayward have their back and forth, and Hayward kicks them all out. But no, Magic Guy, you stay here. Though Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy are kicked out, they immediately escape by causing several potential life-changing brain injuries. Concussions are not a joke. They sneak back in, and we see new Pietro. Monica says, who's that? Darcy says, Wanda's brother, and maybe Jimmy says something along the lines of, Magic Guy said something about creating a life and body from nothing related to her full access to some entity that she may have gotten from the Mind Stone. Darcy does her Darcy thing, and we look at what she found. Jimmy says his thing about how people on the edge of the town aren't moving. Monica gets a message saying that she has a way back into the Hex, and Darcy tells her cells have been rewritten. But Monica's compassion for Wanda's grief means she doesn't care. there. Jimmy and Monica leave. Darcy stays behind because Darcy thinks there's something big here. Darcy keeps digging and sees some files labeled M1, M2, M3, but then she notices Vision moving towards the edge of the hex and says, "What's he doing?" And we see Vision coming from Sword's perspective. Vision asking for help, Hayward saying,
He really does want out, doesn't he?
Darcy trying to get to Vision, and the hex starting to expand. Monica and Jimmy put the pedal to the metal. Hayward makes a run for it. Darcy is left behind and swallowed by the hex. And we end on the true villain of this story, Wanda. Episode 7. Breaking the Fourth Wall. Here we would open with Wanda and Vision at the Avengers complex, and wouldn't you know it, she's watching a sitcom. After almost losing him again at the end of the last episode, we see a bit of the beginning of their relationship here, and we get the line that Wanda really needs to hear again.
But what is grief, if not love persevering?
And she wakes up to realize and remember what she's done. The boys' game is freaking out. I love this. Things around Wanda are changing. And what is this missing person tease? Also, I don't know why, but I think this scene is so funny. The way she sniffs it, like, I've done that before. Because this is the first time we all think we know what's going on, we being Wanda, Sword, and the audience, this is our first integrated episode. We see Vision and Darcy meet, Agnes take the kids, and I love this part.
I promise I won't bite. I actually did bite a kid once.
Yo, she was so good. The bigger her sphere of influence is, the more her control will suffer. And Wanda just wants everything to be okay. Jimmy receives an email from Darcy saying that Hayward was not only trying to create another Vision, but wanted to bring the true Vision back online. Monica meets her friends who, like, should have been somebodies, right? Did I miss that these guys are somebodies? Please comment below and tell me if these are somebodies, or like who the somebodies you think they should have been. Monica gets a new toy, Vision wakes up Darcy, and why isn't the beekeeper in this scene? Huh? The nameless faceless agent, is he still in the sewer? I'm actually really upset that we never saw what happened to him. So in my version, we would. He'd be at the circus. Wanda's really struggling to keep a handle on everything and thinking that she can fix it. Then a voice says,
"Do you think maybe this is what you deserve?"
Now, I think this should have been her asking herself this question. At the very least, I think this should have been a voice we recognize, but that's neither here nor there. And why not build up Senior Scratchy a little bit more for a scene that hit the cutting room floor when they were making the finale, because they were still editing it 2 weeks before it aired. Disney, you have more money than God! How did you not plan this better? Monica tries and fails with her new toy to get into the hex, and then she pushes her way through and becomes Photon. You know we're a great place for this new superpowered individual to be during the climax of this final battle? Stuck in a room with a guy named Boner. Darcy and Vision talk, and she doesn't know why he can't leave the hex, and then...
Wanda? This whole thing is about Vision.
I don't want to hear about it. What's wrong? Missile! No, that one. All you do is lie!
Vision gets fed up with Wanda's games and leaves. Monica tries to talk Wanda down.
I lost the person closest to me, too.
Don't let him make you the villain. You have to take it down.
No. Don't make me hurt
Do
you.
it then.
And we get to see these two gear up to fight. Wanda's powers stretch to the limit, and Monica with her powers for the first time. We see Hayward and his lackeys saying that, thanks to Mr. Magic Guy, we know that all we needed was energy touched by the Mind Stone. We see the drone with Wanda's magic, and a line of humanoid robots, each in a case labeled M1, M2, M3, and each one looking more and more advanced, M6, M7, M8. Let's say for like a random number, it goes up to 11. And then we see the white Vision. I would have a post-credit scene of this episode with the magic guy speaking to Jimmy, telling him that Hayward has the real Vision, along with a bunch of other robots that he's planning on sending into the hex. And then Jimmy would be like, well, if he has Vision, who's in the hex? And I know you're angry typing already, but let me finish so I can talk about it later, okay? Episode 8, the series finale. We open on Wanda at Sword, and this entire scene plays out exactly the same. She goes in, meets Hayward, he tries to manipulate her, it doesn't work, and she leaves. Wanda goes to Westview, and I think it's really important that we see how Wanda sees the town, as full of a lot of really sad people. She drives to the house that was never to be, has her breakdown, and we learn that she made the Vision we've been watching. And then we're back on the lawn. Monica and Wanda are about to show down. Imagine Wanda's all red and glowy, and Monica is either blue or gold because even the show can't decide. Monica is trying to talk Wanda down, but she sees Vision, recognizes that it's not her created Vision, and asks,
Is it really you?
And of course, it is not. He tries to pop her head like a blueberry. Monica tries to get him off of her, but she's tossed aside. And then Wanda's Vision shows up.
With this,
I can fix it.
can you?
But she doesn't mean end it. Monica tells her that fixing it means letting people go. Don't be what Hayward thinks you are. And Wanda will say something to the effect of, I am exactly what he thinks I am. And we get to see them fight. We get to see Wanda test the limits of her strength as she is trying to control everyone within the Hex and give them a better version of their life. And Monica learning her new abilities. We see our Vision on Vision fight. Cut to Sword and we see Hayward asking a report on the others, and one of his lackeys says that they weren't able to breach the Hex and they can't get in unless she opens it. Maybe one doesn't work. Maybe the one that doesn't work happens to be number 11 and it falls into the hands of Jimmy. Full disclosure, I was doing some research on Jimmy Woo, doing some reading, watched a great YouTube video, talked about M11. I'll link the video below. It was super interesting to hear the origins of Jimmy Woo's story. And then for some reason, we cut to Jimmy and the dumbest scene in the entire MCU. Sees a phone, sits on a phone. This guy should be fired. Monica and Wanda's fight takes them into the town square. Wanda is trying to defend herself, defending her actions, saying that she gave the town a better version of itself. Whereas Monica is telling her, I know your pain because I was under your control and that's what I was feeling the entire time. Monica tells her that she isn't making anyone's life better. And Wanda says, all you do is lie. Monica tells her the only lies were the ones you put in my mouth. Don't believe me? Ask someone. So Wanda unmind warps Dot to meet Sarah and see what's really been happening. Meanwhile, Vision and Vision are fighting. The boys are watching. Billy misinterprets what he sees when he checks in on his mom, because how does he already have a perfect understanding of his ability? And thinks that Monica is one of the baddies. They go to help. Like, seriously. Tommy, sure, he's just running real fast. But Billy, it's like a mind thing. How do you have perfect control over that already? Wanda realizes what she has done and is choked by her grief. And because she is, they are. Monica tells her she has to let everyone go, and Wanda says, I can't lose my children. I can't lose Vision. Not again. And Monica tells her, heroes don't torture people. Wanda believes her, tries to be better, and opens the boundary. But when she sees Vision and her children essentially dying in front of her, her resolve starts to weaken. Monica again tries to tell her that she is strong enough.
I can't do this. You can do this.
Yes, you can.
But she can't. And it was just enough time for Hayward and Sword to get through the barrier and show up, all ready to attack Wanda at the same time. And this reminds us of... Stretched as she is, Wanda has to dig deep to maintain this new barrier and being attacked by her own magic, and boom! Costume change. I actually don't really understand why this happened. I love it and it's fun, but like nobody else has a magical costume. I guess Vision has a magical costume. And now imagine this scene, but Wanda's in costume. And then we get this line that I don't know how a line so cheesy and stupid just gets me so fired up. And we hear,
Your mother and I never really prepared you for this.
But you were born for it.
Vision goes off to fight against White Vision. This line happens, which I love.
I request elaboration.
And Hayward watches helplessly as Wanda, Monica, and the boys take down his best military weapons and people. Vision restores White Vision's memory.
I am Vision.
White Vision flies off. Hayward sees this, loses it, and knowing the one thing that will hurt Wanda more than anything else, he pulls out a gun and aims it at her children. Monica steps in because Wanda's off doing something cool, and...
Nice tricks.
I like yours too.
Then, once the family is back together, Vision says,
I know you'll set everything right, just not for us.
No. Not for us.
Monica and Wanda exchange a nod, and the rest of the episode plays out exactly as it did. They go home, they say goodbye, and Vision and Wanda share one last moment together. I loved this. It made me feel so much. There's only one thing I would add, because I loved this line so much, and I would want to hear it again.
But what is grief, if not love persevering?
Wanda heads back into town, seeing the animosity from the people around her. She and Monica have their exchange, and she leaves. Monica and Jimmy have their little talk. Monica gets called up to the majors, and Wanda gets the book this magic guy was talking about. And we're all fired up to see what happens next. That's kind of how I would do it. I know that a lot of people really hate the idea of cutting Agatha out of the show, but I don't really think she added anything. I think that the big flying magic fight scene in the finale was like the worst part of the finale. The whole thing about her throwing runes onto the wall of the hex is like cool, but she doesn't have to be taught. She can just see a rune and then know how to do it. I also think the idea of Billy and Tommy being able to take care of all of Sword by themselves is very like, I don't know. I mean, controlling somebody's mind and not damaging it must be a skill. So all of the people who hated Mulan, please tell me why you're okay with this. I think another flaw of the final few episodes, and actually I guess the series on a whole, is that Hayward wasn't actually ever a villain until he shot at children. Like, it was just like they had to add something in just to be sure he was a bad guy. So I think that Hayward could have been built up a lot more, and that's part of the reason why I started doing research on Jimmy Woo and how I found M11 and these other things, because I thought, okay, what are the reasons why the show put Agatha in for this final battle so that Wanda has somebody at her level? Okay, well, if I'm taking out Agatha, how can I make Hayward at Wanda's level, especially with Monica and the boys? Well, first I'm gonna tire the hell out of Wanda, make Monica and the boys only half learning their powers. Maybe they fail on them or they make some mistakes through this fight scene. And then we can kind of have like an even-ish match. And I really, really think either Agatha should have gotten a lot more screen time, which probably would have involved at least one more episode, or she should have been saved for something else. The way it is left now just makes absolutely no sense to me. She's just still in this Agnes persona in a town where she doesn't actually have a house. Like, how did... What? I also hated the Ralph Boner. I would have much rather no answer to that. And like, maybe he's somebody else or whatever. Marvel can do a billion things with that, which I greatly look forward to seeing. But I just didn't love that there was all of this build up for a dick joke. Lastly, as I said before, I really didn't like that we didn't get to see Monica explore her abilities very much. Like, she did 2 things maybe, but it would have been cool to see her a bit more in the final fight scene, which is why in my version we did. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, what you thought of my little what if version, what you would have changed to the original one or to mine. I love seeing you guys talk about this stuff in the comment section, and I read a lot of it. I learn a lot from you guys there. This video took so long to make. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can make another one of these. It like totally took over my mind, but you know what? I had so much fun. I had so much fun thinking of this different little storyline and how it could play out. And I think that having Agatha for later, then we would actually be able to use Senior Scratchy for something instead of it ending up on the cutting room floor. It was in Fat Man Beyond podcast that I heard that tidbit. Yeah, anyways, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you like this style of video. It actually probably took me 50 hours to make, and I hope I would get more efficient if I ever make another one. But let me know what you think if you want to see more of this style of video from me. Thank you for making it this far into the video. If you want another way to support me, these are my books. I always have a little clip at the end of part of the audiobook of one of them. And until next time, may the force be with you. Live long and prosper, and I'll be back.
They decided water would be the way I died, but I swam anyway. It was my way of biting my thumb at them, at the old gods who made me like this. To be honest, I hated the water. It scared me. I doubtless hated the fear more than the water itself, because I needed it to. It kept me centered. I didn't used to swim. I didn't used to need to risk my life to clear my head. There was a time when singing did that for me. It still did, sometimes, but not like it used to. Not like before my eldest brother died.